Forward to the computer. And we're live.
All right.
All right. Welcome to the second installment of virtual programming at the African American Chamber of Commerce.
All right.
We're truly killing it here at the African American Chamber of Commerce in terms of programs and other things that we've got going out. When I say we're a hub of resources, we're dropping news daily via YouTube. And if you just go on YouTube and type in African American Chamber, you'll be able to see Eric Kearney dropping knowledge every day about things that we have happening. We also have social media posts, of course, going out, but we have programs happening virtually here on Zoom. And if you happen to have missed any of our programs after this program, Cisco Dowdell is our very first guinea pig as we put him on our website. Programs are now virtual. They are now being recorded, and you will be able to find them on our website, which I will tag on here at the end. Please make sure that you check us out on all of our social media channels. The Zoom platform is changing to a new number starting tomorrow with Dr. J.C. Baker. We'll talk about that at the end. Today, we are talking about the new and best options to maximize your retirement dollars with my man, Cisco Dowdell, 360 Solutions, who is a chamber member and truly an awesome supporter of my programming, but also of members of the chamber. Cisco does great things in the community. I happened to meet him at a gala where we got to sit next to each other, and I got to learn about his travels, a lot about his past, and he really broke down kind of things that I've been taught and told about in a very simplistic plain text form. And if you've been to programming at the African American Chamber, you know I'm all about plain text stuff. Don't give me that high surface stuff. Talk to me where I can meet you, okay? And I can understand how I'm spending my dollars and where I'm spending my dollars. And Cisco Dowdell is the man to teach us that. So now I turn over the mic to my man, Cisco Dowdell.
All right. Thank you very much, Jordan. And it's a pleasure to be your guinea pig. Okay. So I'll take that mantle very strongly and very happily. And the only thing I have to say before we get started is that what goes on at the gala stays at the gala. All right, bet? Okay. All right. So good afternoon or morning, whenever you view this, everybody. My name is Cisco Dowdell with 360 Solutions. And my topic today is the new and best ways to maximize your retirement dollars. Not the only ways, but just the new, and I think under these current market situations, may be the best way. I'm going to start off by saying that this information hopefully can be used if you're still working or if you're eking close to retirement age like I am. So it's never too late. I guess it's like being saved. It doesn't matter when you get saved as long as you do get saved. So it's never really too late. So I'm going to go through a few slides that will explain as simple as I possibly can without getting down in the weeds what this program or what options that may be available to you. So let's get started on these slides. And if you have any questions, my information will be at the end. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions, and everything will be kept confidential, of course. All right, so here's the goal right here. Generally, when you work, you have to you work to make money, to save a nest egg, but it's not everybody. What I'm trying to say is that everybody's end is the same. Okay, you want to leave a more financially secure legacy to your heirs. If you don't know what your heirs are, that's your kids, grandkids, cousins, uncles, whoever is important to you. So everybody has that same end. What we're talking about today is the means to that end, and that's what separates how much of a legacy you can possibly leave. So that is the overall goal of what this talk will be about this afternoon. And I want to talk about two specific products, and one of them is IUL, which is an Index Universal Life, versus a 401k. Now, 401k has been around for many, many years, and 401ks are good. So, for the record, I'm not going to say a 401k is not good. But the climate has changed, the times have changed, and companies that contribute to 401ks have changed. Back when I got started, they were contributing a lot more, but because of different factors and circumstances, you find them contributing a lot less in terms of matching. So, for the record, I don't want to let I want it for the record that I am not saying 401s are not good. They are good. I also want to say that IUL's Universal Index Universal Life is obviously an insurance product. Insurance products are generally offered by insurance agents of some sort, depending upon what they specialize in. This is an area of my specialty. Um, there are financial planners out there, the Edward Joneses of the world, the Morgan Stanleys, all that. They are also good. Okay, so for the record, those guys know and ladies know what they're doing. But the thing that they don't do is offer the protections that IUL would offer. So specifically to the first point, IULs are insurance policies and 401ks are investment products. They both offer insurance and investment gains. Okay. The good thing about a 401k is that there's no cap on the earnings. Okay. But consider that with a 401k, because they are using employees' dollars, they usually don't put them into any kind of aggressive funds. They usually put them into a nice slow growth fund or something conservative, because by law they have to protect. They just can't put your hard-earned dollars into something that has a large variability due to market conditions. The key thing about a 401k that I want to point out that's different than an index universal life, and as I go on, I will show you how universal index life can work better for you, is that this is key. There's no protection from market loss. Now, I don't know if you've been following the market the last 2 or 3 weeks or so, but it's all over the news. And unfortunately, people that currently have 401ks or are counting on their 401ks to sustain them during retirement, if you're working, you may have to work longer now because your portfolio has most definitely lost money, no doubt, okay? Because there have been record losses. And if you are retired right now and using your 401k as an annuity or something along those lines, you have less there now because of the market losses. If you had your funds in an index universal life, you won't have that issue about worrying about whether or not the market fluctuates. And as I go further, I'll explain why. Another point is that they're taxed differently. The cash value of a 401k, IUL, can be accessed at any time. The reason being is that it's already been taxed. In other words, with a 401k, most companies will deduct out of your pay, and that is considered pre-tax dollars. So what that means is that you have not been taxed on it, but trust, you will be taxed on it. You know, the government is the government. They're going to want their piece of your earnings. So the cash value can be accessed at any time without any kind of penalties because you've already been taxed on it. It's money that's either you're writing out of your own savings or checking or however you are contributing to an IUL. It's been taxed. Another thing is that it also has a death benefit to it. Well, I'll talk a little bit more about that later. They also, the third point, IULs are simpler for estate planning. While 401ks are subject to probate, beneficiaries get a tax-free death benefit with the IUL. Very important. Depending upon how you set up your 401k, when that time happens, when it's time for you to transition, again, depending on how you set it up, it might be subject to probate. So, in other words, if you have any kind of disputes on your estate, whether or not there's any kind of disputes, it could be subject to probate. And if you ever been through probate, that could be timely, and depending upon whether or not you hire outside legal help, could cost you a little bit. But with the IUL, your beneficiaries get your benefits tax-free. Okay, so if you ever hear people talking about tax-free retirement, this most likely may be an instrument they're using. Okay, so there's no issue with probate with the IUL. Again, I pointed out that employers may contribute to your 401k, and that's good. The one thing that I find that most people who contribute to a 401k is that they over contribute to it. In other words, what they do is, if, say, for instance, your employer is matching up to 3%, my recommendation is to only match up to that 3%, because that's free money. That 3% match is new money. But if you contribute anything more, you're not maximizing your retirement dollars. Okay. So next slide. It's a little bit busy, but I'll break it down to you. Again, I pointed out that IUL is funded with non-qualified money or after-tax dollars. Qualified means, how I always remembered it, is that does your money qualify for taxation? So non-qualified means it does not qualify for taxation. So again, it's because what you put into IOL has already been taxed. And that's good news for your future retirement income, because now you are positioning yourself for potentially tax-free retirement income. All right. One of the points is that, again, I talked about the employer match. Now, the IUL does not have that same incentive, because what you're doing is that you're self-investing, okay? But in the long run, you most likely will end up having more dollars available for you at retirement without some of the penalties that are involved if you need to access your funds for any kind of emergency or unexpected situation. Again, that's the second point. Or the second point is that with your money in a 401k plan, it is exposed to losses from market downfalls. Again, that's what's currently happening. The market's down, your 401k most likely is tied to the market to some regard. So as the market goes down, your portfolio goes down, okay? And that is just generally how 401ks work. I have not seen any that have not worked that way. I'm not saying that they aren't, but that's how generally it works. 401ks also don't let you borrow against them with the same flexibility as you can with the IUL, generally speaking. And what I mean by that, that last point is very important. If you have a 401k and say something happens to, you had a situation that happens that you need to get access to your funds. If you are 59 and a half and less, you are automatically subject to a 10% penalty. And the funds that you take out are taxable at that time. So say, for instance, if you had $100 and you need to borrow 50, you will be taxed 10% on that $50 that you took out automatically if you're less than 59 and a half. So you actually are taking out $45. Of that $45, you also going to be taxed depending upon your tax bracket. So say if you're in a 20% tax bracket, the $45 that you just took out, because you already took your 10% hit because of the rules of a 401k, you also going to get another 20% tax. So you take 20% off that $45. That's another $9 that you're getting taxed on. So your net is going to be $36, and you requested 50. So that's a very important point that illustrates some of the differences between an IUL and a 401k for maximizing your retirement dollars. The next slide, again, I'm repeating myself a little bit, but what's important is that, again, distributions from an IUL policy when taken as loans are non-taxable. Very important, non-taxable. That's because, again, they're used with non-qualified money or after-tax dollars, okay? And again, I pointed out that 401ks are subject to a more substantial tax liability. Another thing is the fourth point where it says in 2018, the total contribution limit for a 401k is set at $18,500. What that means is that the more money you make, it comes a point where you can't contribute any more to your 401k. So what happens there is that that's your max. So you're putting in the max in to have it work for you subject to market conditions. With an IUL, you can put in as much as you feel comfortable in doing, okay? And that's what the other point means when it says with its contractual guarantees, IUL offers the benefit of preserving your earning power in your professional years, working years, which means there's no limit as to how much you can put into an IUL as opposed to a 401k, and also the contractual guarantees. And what I mean by that is that if, and I'll illustrate this with a graph a little bit later, but with a IUL, there's a contractual guarantee which will guarantee a certain amount of return every year. Keyword is guarantee. With a 401k, you can't guarantee it. And that's one of the difference between some of the Edward Jones and the Morgan Stanleys of the world, is that they cannot guarantee your returns. With the IUL, you can have a guarantee and you have a guaranteed floor. What does that mean? That means that if the market should fall, your floor is zero. What does that mean? Is that if you had $100 and your market dropped 20% in year 2020, let's say, at the end of year 2020, you'll have $100, okay? With a 401k or anything that's directly related to the market, if you had $100 and it drops 20%, your portfolio is now at $80. Another good point to point out is that with an index universal life policy, it can be customized. There are riders for chronic illness, work disability, and other specialized circumstances. You can get riders such as a guaranteed income life, which means no matter how much money you put in and how much you have when you retire, as long as you continue to, I'll turn this phone, sorry, somebody's calling me. I just cut them off. As long as you can, I'm sorry, as long as you continue to have this income rider, you never run out of money. So in other words, you could put in $100 and you could spend $200 or $300 or $400. As long as you attach that rider to your policy, you will never run out of money. And that's a problem we're having today. To be quite honest with you, we're outliving our money. We're living longer due to medical advances and other different advances, and that has enabled us to live longer. And so that's why you have a lot of senior citizens that have to go back to work because they, quite frankly, outspent their money. This is an example of a benefit of an IUL. Some of us were around professionally speaking in 2008. We know that the market dropped 37%. Anybody who had an IUL did not lose any sleep over it. Why? Because the cash component of their policy didn't decline at all. I use that example. If you had $100 and the market dropped 37% in 2009, you started off with your growth factor at $100. If you did not have it and it dropped 37%, you started out 2009 or whenever the market started to rebound at $63, okay? So you don't get all the upside of the stock market with the IUL when it goes up. For instance, if the stock market should go up 15% and your value of your portfolio maybe not go 1-to-1 with the stock market with the IUL, generally does not. They might cap your gains at 11%. All right. So that 4% is what the insurance companies get to invest your money into things like options and all that. I don't want to get down deep in the woods about that. But the bottom line is that the last line is what's really important, is that you're protected from the downsides of a stock crash. All right. So I don't know. When I was growing up, my dad used to tell me it's not what you make, it's what you keep. Okay. So during these times, the older you get, the less you can afford to lose because you don't have those professional years to maybe rebound. And that's why it's an insurance policy, or I like to call it a protection policy. This is a graph that's very key that I'd like to show you. The green is what most people do. They invest their money in a bank. Good thing about a bank, it's safe. The problem is that you get a low rate of return, very low rate of return. And you generally put your money in a bank that are after tax dollars. So that what that means is that you've already paid taxes on them one time, and then you're paying taxes on the interest. But again, most people do that. These are things like CDs and things of that nature that are drawing low returns that don't keep up with the cost of living. And that's represented by that green line here. Now, what some people do who are more sophisticated that have time to look and follow the stock market is that they invest in individual stocks, which is good. You know, if you invested in Google back in the day, you're doing all right now, and some other Facebook, other companies like that. You know, you're doing quite well, but it's a high. You get a high rate of return, but you're also subject to a lot of risk, and they're generally more losers than there are winners when it comes down to individuals that invest in individual stocks. Now, what people that have more comfortable, they generally invest in some kind of insurance product. The reason being is that, again, it's not subject to probate. It's tax free. They can give you some guarantees, and the index. And I didn't really touch upon that as much as I should have. But the index, consider the index like a baseline. For instance, you might have an index product that the index may be the S&P 500, which is a Standard & Poor's. It may be the Tokyo stock market. It may be Dun & Bradstreet. There are different indexes that different companies will use to create their baseline for your growth. And again, I talked about the tax advantages, it being after tax dollars. So this red line, this particular graph represented 1998 to the right side is 2008, 2009, 2010, and 11. And you see that's the market. You see how the market, all markets fluctuate. They go up and they go down. But we had that correction over those years where a lot of people lost a lot of their retirement dollars because that's what they were banking on for retirement. And the result is they either had to work a little bit longer, or if they had to retire, they may not have had enough funds available for them to maintain their lifestyle while they are retired. So they went back to work. You see the green line, that represents a bank. Okay, again, it's safe, it's slow, it's steady, it's gonna grow. Okay, but it's not really going to maximize your retirement dollars by putting your money in a bank. The blue line represents index product. And as you can see, if you compare it to the red line, you see that when the market went down to its most deepest point on the red graph, you see that the blue line held steady. What that meant, and what that illustrates what I was speaking of, that when the market goes down, you don't lose any money. Your floor is zero. and that's contractually, that's part of the guarantees. So right now, any of my clients that have IULs, they're not turning on the news every day and watching the financial channels to see what the market is doing, because they know this year they may not gain any money in terms of their growth on their portfolios. But the key thing is that they can sleep well at night because they know they haven't lost any either. So if you're on the red line to start your growth, you can see at the far right-hand side, it started to ease up again. That was in 2012, and it has been growing. Okay, so that if that red line would be continuing, it would still be going up. But also with the blue line will go up with the red line. Okay, maybe not as quickly as it would be, but it will still be at a higher level because it did not have to suffer from the previous downfall in the market. So that's a key slide to remember. And I guess another way I can illustrate it is that if you had $100 under this scenario, and if you were using the red line and it dropped, again, say it dropped 10%. So if you have $100 and it dropped 10%, what that means is that when the market starts to go back up, your portfolio has dropped 10%. So you're starting off at $90. So say the market drops 10% in 1 year and increases 10% the next year, you still haven't recovered, because when it dropped from $100 to $90 with the 10% fall, once it gains that 10% that next year, you're not at 100 anymore. You're starting off from 90. So you're at $99. That's key. So a lot of people think, well, my market went down 10% and now went back up 10% the next year. I'm back where I started. No, you're not, because your baseline is $90 instead of 100. With the IUL, your baseline stayed at 100. So if it went up 10%, you at $110. So for every $100, you're $11 higher than the other individual that invested into a product like a 401k or individual stock that fell. So that's key to remember. So I guess the question really comes down to is, what are your goals? What do you want to do? Do you want to increase the value of your estate almost immediately? Do you want to provide a guaranteed death benefit, which I did not really mention too much because, again, IUL is an insurance policy, so it does have a death benefit. So if you have a IUL and you have a beneficiary that has a face value of whatever it might be, that death benefit's coming tax-free. So not only are you earning money on the cash accumulation side, you also are protecting your beneficiaries for their future growth too by leaving them a death benefit. You can build your wealth through index-linked returns with the protection from market declines. And to me, that's what I'm really harping on, because we don't know where this pandemic is going to head. Our president wants to get everybody back up and running by Easter, and doctors are just, trying to be polite and saying they don't think that's going to be. Again, I think the term they're using is that we have to be flexible with this. So that being said, this can happen, and we don't know where this is going to lead. We don't know, excuse me, how long it's going to happen. So again, the protection from market declines. Another point is that you want to maintain liquidity through withdrawals, loans, and return of premium guarantees. I didn't harp on that too much. You can always go get your money anytime you want to with no tax consequences. It's your money. If you're not happy with what it's doing, then call your people up. Hey, want my money back. No penalties if you're less than 59 and a half, and no taxation at all. And another point, when you get 70 and a half too, that's when you do have to, let's say, cash in your 401k. That's when the government wants their money back. when you reach 70 and a half. So people who sometimes retire from companies, they keep their money into their 401ks, but the government's going to come knocking on your door when you reach 70 and a half, because they said, okay, you've grown, now you have to pay taxes on what your money has grown in. And the last point is that you can access your death benefit if you become chronically ill, which may happen. We don't know what's going to happen with this current pandemic. And, you might have a stroke or something like that. You might need to access this money tax-free for your immediate needs, whatever your obligations are. But again, you'll be able to um, access it tax-free. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do a brief breakdown. This will take about 30 seconds. This will tell you an overall summary of what I've been talking about and the benefits of considering an IUL versus a 401k and other various investments. And I'll just clip this on real quick. And for the sake of this presentation, we're going to ignore the point number 5, okay, because that's more of a corporate, that's for my corporate clients. But again, the left side says the contribution phase, all right? The right side tells you where you're going to put your money into. So again, a CD, a money market, or the bank, that is an after-tax contribution, okay? But you're getting taxed every time it grows. If you got $10 and it grows $1, you're getting taxed on that $1. So again, you're getting taxed on the gain. If you're in a real estate or something along those lines, again, you're putting in, if you're buying rent houses or whatever you're buying, you are using your after-tax dollars. That's what you're contributing with. Your taxes deferred, okay? So you don't have to pay your taxes all up front if you decide to do something like that. But again, you are taxed on the gain. That's the key point. You are taxed on the gain. Now, with a life insurance, IUL, again, you're using your after-tax dollars. Your taxes are deferred, okay? And when it comes time for you to take your income, it is tax-free. That's why the wealthy use income tax products more than anything, because of the tax benefits. So you have the cash accumulation benefit, you have the protection from the downside of the market, and on the income, you got a tax-free component of it, okay? We're talking about the 401ks, your IRAs, and your 403bs. Again, how's your contribution? They usually deduct it from your pay. Your tax, it is deferred, okay? But then you're taxed on what you have made. Again, I talked about that 70 and a half where the government comes knocking. So if you started off with $10 and now you have $100, your income is $90. You're being taxed on that $90 with a 401k, an IRA, depending upon whether or not it's a Roth IRA. If it's a Roth IRA, those are after-tax dollars, and those have different impacts, and that's what a financial planner will be able to explain to you better. But again, the key thing is that you're getting taxed on your income. And like I said, when I first started this talk, is that the Edward Jones people, they're good. They don't offer a lot of times these products because they don't even know about them. They put their suggest their clients go into the different market areas like money markets and mutual funds and things of that nature, and those are good. But they have no control and they can't guarantee your growth. They can give you what the market has done historically, but again, right now, the Edward Jones people don't want to pick up the phone because people who have invested with some of their products most likely have lost a lot of their value, but they can't control that, okay? But with an IUL, that's not the issue at all, because contractually, they can give you contractual guarantees on minimum growth or no growth if the market goes down. So in other words, your floor is zero, and they will give you the benefit of the upside of the market. So if you're interested in something like this, it's generally pretty easy. Nowadays, a lot of the IULs don't even have urine or blood draws. It's generally a questionnaire over the phone. There are systems now called the MIB, which is the Medical Information Bureau, where they'll get your information. They'll check on how many prescriptions. They already know if you've been to the hospital, all that sort of thing. And so a lot of times it's a pretty seamless process. In other words, the paperwork is not really that intense. So you can get started. And another thing I like is that generally with the IUL, the underwriting decisions are made within days or so. So that's good, okay? And again, the issuance of the policy may depend on the answers to the questions in the application. So every company has different questions they might ask, but they're all generally the same. So that's the end of my presentation for the most part. So if you have any questions on the new and best options to maximize your retirement dollars, please give me a call at 513-642-9150, or you can email me at Dowdell, that's DOWDELL @WT.net. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions to the best of my ability. If I don't have the answers, I will find them out. But again, in this environment, it's really not, what you make as much as how you want to keep what you've worked for. So that's about it. Thank you very much for your time. I hope to maybe hear from you and be able to assist you and your family any way that I possibly can. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any questions for Cisco? If you do have a question, feel free to unmute your mic and then just go ahead and ask away.
And Prince, Is
there a minimum amount you have to invest?
No, there's not a minimum. Everything is after tax. Everything's after tax, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't matter. There's different programs. There's different plans that will tell you what your minimums are. And I would say, for a rule of thumb, I would say 10,000 is probably the minimum that I've seen with most. You can't start it off like a Gerber plan where there's like $50 and you go from there. So you have to make some type of investment. And again, you can get it anytime you want to. There's a return of premium that you can get it without any kind of consequences because it's after tax.
Great question. Hey, Prince.
Hey.
What's up, Prince?
Well, yeah, I got signed on a little bit late. I used the that was in the email just the other day, and I happened to have gotten connected with Jordan, and of course, I was able to get on. And appreciate what I've learned. I will probably have to ask you to go through some of this, even though we may have discussed some of it. But then again, too, I think it's a very good program to follow through with, and of course, I'll keep examining everything. And thanks again.
Jordan, before you came on, the good thing is that it's being archived. This is the first archive, right, Jordan?
It is, yeah. So you will actually be able to go back and see this on our website very soon, just like all of our radio shows. So very soon you'll be able to see this, and Cisco's will be the first one. Our very first one was actually me. It did not come out complete. We just didn't have the settings set up correctly. However, we're in great shape now. We've got the platinum plan here on Zoom. So now we'll be able to add these onto our website.
Okay, very good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And Prince, you know to get in touch with me anytime you have anything. So again, it's on there. And Jordan, how long will it be before it'll be up?
Give me 7 days right now, but it may be up sooner. So MDI, Market Direct, if you guys don't know about them, they're really good. The Harmons, they actually put that onto our website for us. So as soon as this will be the first one, as soon as they kind of get into the flow of it, they'll go quicker. But I'd say give me about 7 days with the current.
Okay, great. And if it turns out great, I'll leave it. I'll use it myself, I should say, to spread the word.
Well, we appreciate that. And we appreciate your time tonight, Cisco. That was great information. And it was very plain text. It's a complicated thing, and sometimes, I feel like we are afraid to ask. And sometimes we don't think that our questions are good questions, so we tend to just not ask the question at all. So I really appreciate you breaking it down. Again, this is being archived, so people will get to see it. So if you're joining us just now on the replay, we really appreciate you coming out. Cisco's information was on that last slide. Cisco, click back for me so that way it's there while I'm talking too. Okay. We've got, there you go. So that way you can get in touch with Cisco while I'm talking. I got to tell you about programs that we got coming up, all right? And I know I said in the beginning, and maybe you skipped past me on the replay, or maybe you're just now joining us on the live. We've got programs virtually, just like you're watching right now, and they will be archived onto our website at African-American-Chamber.com, okay? And they will be up very soon, all right? Tomorrow, okay? Today is the 25th. Tomorrow, we have Dr. J.C. Baker talking about the doctor's orders and navigating COVID-19 for your business with strategy. He's also offering a lot of products that they have at JC Baker and Associates to help you out. I think the information that we got tonight, as well as the information that we'll receive tomorrow, are really better equipping us to be successful coming out of the circumstances that we're currently in with the COVID-19. And to be able to not only have the information, but a resource asset like Cisco Dowdell and Dr. J.C. Baker, I think shows the strength of our community and how we have to lean on each other. And as Eric continues to say, we're going to get through this together. All right. So our programs are here. If somebody has not reached out to you yet from the chamber, please call me. Okay. I would like to check on you and let you know what we've got going on virtually in terms of programs. Check and see how you are and see how your business is doing and how the chamber can help. Okay. At this time, we are closed in our physical location. All right. However, we are all working remotely. So please feel free to reach out to us via email. Probably will be the super fastest way. Voicemail as well at our office. However, I'm sure with us calling out, we've got a lot of calls coming in. So bear with us. Please make sure that you're following our program calendar. We are dropping April programs on Friday. We are bombarding you with a bunch of information on YouTube, on our social media, as well as about programs. So I didn't want to drop April programs and have them oversaturated. But the beautiful thing is we got Cisco Dowdell coming back next month, y'all. Okay, we're throwing down next month, and he's talking about when stuff happens. Okay, I promise you, me and Cisco are very ahead on this. Okay, we were talking about this way before we even knew viruses was in the air still, right? So the beautiful thing is that stuff is happening. Okay, and we're talking about that time, and maybe some of us need to maneuver some funds or move things around to make some things work. And inside of that initial meeting with Cisco, he taught me some quick things about how you can maneuver that money, because as he touched on today, a lot of us are outliving the standard life expectancy, okay, due to the advance in technology and medical equipment, but also because we know a little bit more about our health, right? And we know a little bit more about what affects us best and worse. So I really appreciate each and every one of you joining us tonight. We will be back with virtual programming tomorrow, 12 to 1. Please make sure you check out our YouTube. Just go into YouTube, type in African American Chamber. You'll see our phenomenally handsome president, CEO, Eric H. Kearney. He's on here, so I know he heard it, okay? So we're in great shape. We have great programs happening at the chamber. When I say great things are happening at the chamber, I really mean it, okay? It's our hashtag, but I'm telling you, we talk every day as a team, and we're really about making it happen. Okay, we're really about making it happen. And if you need us, please call. Okay, if you need us, please email. Okay, we want to be of service to you, and we're reaching out to all the individuals in our member base as we can. We're still taking members. Okay, we still got program happening. We still have connections to our resources, so please call us. The Minority Business Assistance Center is doing webinars statewide too, that we will be plugging you guys in on. We have SBA programming happening with NBAC coming as well too. So please stay tuned, all right? I thank you guys for joining us tonight. I thank you all for tuning in for Cisco's magical information, okay? Stuff that I really didn't know about at 32, okay, that I really think that I should be more aware of. And it's just something that's not always talked about. So Cisco, thank you for your time this evening, as well as your knowledge.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, everybody have a good night.
All right, thank you.